We often read about it happening in the States, but it's also happening in Canada. What? Governments burning books, removing them. Before that, please subscribe and donate. Dean Baxendale, he likes books. He's a publisher of Optimum Publishing. A lot of great books you put out. And you were just telling me that there's school boards and municipalities are saying, pull that book out. And we aren't talking about pornography.
We're talking about some of the classics from the 18th century, 19th century. We are replacing those with indigenous books, which I think are really important for us to get a handle on. But there's all sorts of new content that is what I would consider not from a classical education, but more of a contemporary perspective on how one sees the world.
Well, yeah, the other thing is, so that, let's get into that with some of the guests I've had on this show, and they say, well, you know what? It's what people feel or what they want as opposed to what actually happened. And we deal with that with Indigenous, but we're also dealing with that with going on. There's a fair amount of BS coming out from our authorities, our institutions. And so we're dealing with technology as well. I mean, how does a parent with a child help that kid to understand what's truth and not?
Well, that's a big question. What's truth and what's not? I mean, I think you have to go with what's in your gut and what, ultimately what you've been brought up with as a parent, and understanding the pillars of what you consider are ethical, are books that tell the truth. And that can be from a whole bunch of different perspectives, and be objective about it. But always explain to your children that there's a viewpoint, there's a perspective, and go into it reading that information and understanding that somebody may have a viewpoint or a bias. It should be cited. If books aren't cited, then it could be 100% propaganda.
What do you mean cited? You mean when you say there's
fully
a bias?
Academically cited. So you have to have a book that is footnoted effectively so that we know that the content and the historical perspective that you're using in which to write the words that are in that book are sound.
Now that sounds like perfect from a publisher. From a consumer of that, you have to know then who's publishing it? There's a lot of garbage out there.
Sure, there's a lot of garbage. I think that you have to look for publishers and authors that you know about, and you know about their content. You know that you're going there for a reason.
And the same would apply then to shows like this and other shows on social media.
100%.
You have to know the source.
You have to know the source. And you have to know whether or not it's reliable. I mean, that's always the vetting process that needs to take place by parents, individuals, or corporations consuming information from any source.
Do you think you're a publisher? We've talked before about the internet and high tech. Do you think books are finished?
No, I don't. I think they continue to have resonance with a lot of people. And actually, yes, hard copy books will continue on.
Dean Baxendale, I hope you're right. 3 minutes. This show provides independent analysis of the issues. We are not paid by the government. And as I am finding, so much business in Canada relies upon various governments that they don't want to sponsor or advertise on a show which may become controversial, which talks about liberty, freedoms, sometimes criticizes government. I've had guests on that support the government. But people are saying, you know what? We don't want to bite the hand that feeds us, i.e. government, which is why I hope you'll subscribe and contribute to keep this show on the air.